Mama never say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there o see dem yopo.
For the next video for the day, are you ready? Fifi Pratt, or say John Dramani Mahama, nation of the nation address now, or the back echinano. This is exactly what Fifi Pratt is edging about nation, according to on the state of the nation. No brother, you're going to go to a winning in Sambia Wakika about the nation address now, John Dramani Mahama, the back echinano. You go to a moon 7 Yembra. A high PENDREAM TV. Subscribe and press on the notification bell. Send the bear did be anytime piano. We see a content back crowd has anytime they do tomorrow. Ubanya notification also. One BAT kama. Yango Fifi Pratt Jr. a bra auditor in Chichimu. Any caution and a warning beer or the opposition for no. You're going to go to and 7 your brothers here.
Because it seems to me that my brother and friend here thinks that the president is a magician. All I know, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is not a magician. His government has been in power for less than 2 months. I'm not expecting that within these 2 months the reality of Ghana will change substantially. In fact, what we should be looking for are signals of what is likely to come. You understand? And this reference to doomso, to all intents and purposes, I think is absolutely laughable. We know the state of the energy sector, especially the power sector, before 7 January 2025. And all the indications before 7 January 2025 were that we're going to get into some power crisis. He came into office with a substantial debt in the power sector of more than $2.5 billion. What magic are you expecting for the power sector? You understand? So it is true that it's been in power for 2 months, and within those 2 months, there has been power curtailment and so on. But why? Is that his burden? It's his burden to resolve the problem, but it is not his administration which created the problem. And this is very clear. You don't have to be NDC, to understand this situation, that there's a huge problem with power. Now, this question about Agenda 111 and what has been completed and not completed, I'm not even going to listen to the president, what he says and what he doesn't say. You know that one of these hospitals was commissioned just before the NPP handed over power. The contractor, Eurojet, if you remember, issued a press statement indicating very clearly that the project which was being commissioned had not been completed.
True, that's a fact.
That's a fact.
Yes.
It is the contractor working on the project who came and said, I have not finished the work. There are many things which have to be done before commissioning. We haven't even handed over the project to government, and yet it is being commissioned.
He cites insufficient funds for why it hasn't been completed.
Exactly, and the press statement is available. So if the contractor working on the project says that we are commissioning projects which have not been completed, who am I to doubt it? What interest does the contractor have to come and expose the fact that the project has not been completed and so on? I think we have to be realistic. What I expect from the State of the Nation address is for the president to tell us the truth, the exact state of the nation. Because it seems to me that many people are not aware of the hole which has been left in the national economy, the mess, the extent of the mess. And it's important to expose this mess. Now, brother, we have been told over and over again that the cocoa sector is the mainstay of the national economy. Now, listen very carefully. As we speak, all the local license buying companies have collapsed. The LBCs we have now are foreign owned. That's a huge problem in the cocoa sector. Last year, we could not even syndicate loans to buy cocoa from the farmers. That's part of our reality. In fact, over the last year or so, or a little more, cocoa production has gone down by more than 50%. That's the reality. If the cocoa sector is the mainstay of the economy and production has gone down by more than 50%, are we not in a huge crisis? Are we not facing a monumental crisis? You can't even raise loans to be able to pay cocoa farmers when they sell their cocoa. That's a huge crisis. Now, if you visit the cocoa growing areas, the extent of devastation of the land of cocoa farms is unbelievable. Unbelievable. You understand? And that's what accounts for this very low level of production. And that's not the only problem. I'm not going to provide the details. I'm hoping that the president himself will provide those details. If you go to some of the state enterprises, the level of indebtedness is shocking. There is one state enterprise whose level of indebtedness is up to 350 million. It is. In fact, if you sell all of their assets, you will still not be able to break even. Sell all of their assets to recover debt. That's how bad the situation is. Look, early last year, the Ministry of Finance told us that they needed, I think, 128% of total national revenue in order to cover 3 line items: debt payment, debt servicing, and public sector emoluments. That's a bankrupt country. The country is completely bankrupt. If you need 128% of your total national revenue to cover 3 line items, what are you, if not a bankrupt state, and so on? So look, we should stop playing to the gallery and face the reality. I believe very strongly that the time has come for all of us as Ghanaians, irrespective of our party affiliation, to put our shoulders to the wheel, to think together, to find solutions to the hydra-hydra problems that confront us. I'm expecting a very high level of cooperation from the new patriotic party. You know, this playing to the gallery and going to parliament in mourning clothes and so on, I don't want to see that this time. Because of the crisis we face, and indeed the opposition has to demonstrate that it is not just a credible opposition, but it's also a responsible opposition. You know, because why? Who says that opposition parties, their only duty is to oppose? They also have a constructive obligation to contribute to dealing with the hydra-headed problems that face us. And that's what I want to say now. First of all, we will have to understand fully what the crisis is, the depth of the crisis. And we have to understand very clearly some of the measures which can be taken in order to alleviate the suffering of the Ghanaian people. So I expect the opposition to look at the proposed measures to deal with the problem and to tell us that these measures are not workable or are not sensible and so on. But blaming a 2-month-old government for the doomsday problem, I think, is reckless and irresponsible. You understand? One of the issues which have been raised, and my brother and friend, sometimes I'm even tempted to call him comrade, even though he doesn't fully qualify.
He's a patriot.
Yeah, you know.
He's a patriot, yes.
He's talking about dismissals from the public service. I'm not interested in whether the NPP did the same or not. If the NPP did it and it was wrong, it must be wrong now. And we should be moving forward rather than moving backwards. So I'm not going to engage in that debate of whether the NPP also did it and so on. But I want to understand the measures which are being taken. If you have state agencies which are reeling with indebtedness, They have huge holes in their accounts and so on. They cannot even pay those who are on the payroll now. And you add thousands and hundreds of people to the payroll. What are you doing? What are you doing? Is that not madness? So somebody ought to be able to rationalize the payroll. And in rationalizing the payroll, you need to find out whether there's a capacity to pay the people who are being employed. That's one. Employment into the public service is governed by, in some cases, even law. It's governed by clear rules and so on. Is it not the responsibility of governments to find out whether those rules and laws are being properly applied? And when they are not being properly applied, when they are being abused, shouldn't government be taking remedial action? So these are the things that we should be looking at and stop this propagandist attitude, and this propagandist attitudes which assumes that the Ghanaian people are yo-yo. You can tell them any story and they will believe it. The results of the last elections clearly indicate that we are not yo-yos and that we listen, we evaluate statements from our politicians and so on. And we know what is right, we know what is good, and we know what is bad. So we're all waiting for the State of the Nation address with bated breath. But the president will do himself some good if he really does not shy away from exposing the true state of the economy.
Collins.
Yes, so first of all, I know Mr. Mahama is not a magician. His Excellency, he is not a magician. He can't be a magician. We've known him as a politician all these years. I don't think being a magician is part of his accolades. So I never intended to paint the picture that His Excellency is a magician. Now, Kwesi also referred to a hospital project that His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo commissioned, that the contractor Eurojet came up with a communication. First of all, that particular project is not part of the Agenda 111 project.
Okay.
That's totally different.
Okay. It's a different project.
A different project altogether.
Okay.
I mean, the contention has been that...
Does it matter?
It does. Because I was referring...
I'll show you how it doesn't matter.
I was referring specifically to...
Agenda 111.
When His Excellency John Dramani Mahama talked about only one had been completed.
Okay.
And I'm saying that the officials who were handling that particular project have also come out to say 3 were commissioned.
Okay.
Mr. Mahama, His Excellency said, there are no beds. And I'm saying there are pictures even on the Facebook page of His Excellency Dankwa Akufo-Addo that shows that during the commissioning there were beds in there. And so tomorrow he has an opportunity, Parliament, the House of Records, he has an opportunity to give us the details. Now, I never intended to say that this current government should solve all our energy problems. I never intended to say so. But as Kwesi said, Ghanaians value statements from our politicians. On the 7th of January, during the inauguration, my very, very good brother John Jinapo indicated, and you recall, that there are only 5 hours of fuel available. You recall that?
Yes.
Subsequently, when he came to Parliament for his vetting, he clarified that the 5 hours was related to one particular thermal plant.
True.
That's what he said. Subsequently, during a meeting with the World Bank in the office of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, he indicated to the officials that they had capable hands of handling the energy crisis. Not long ago, a committee was set up to ensure that we don't go into any crisis. And I have in my hand the Daily Graphic report, where Mr. Jinapo himself says, WAPCO shut down, government fixes power deficits, procured alternative fuel to keep lights on. And I enjoyed the conversation that Ghanaians value statements from politicians.
Yes.
In spite of all the challenges that they inherited, Mr. Jinapo informed us that they have procured alternative fuel to keep the light on. And so if today my light goes off, I have every right to ask why the light have gone off and to tell you that that is my reality now, in spite of the assurances that have been given by the minister, who is seized with all the data And I'm going to talk about 2-point-something billion. That's true. It's the same 2-point-something billion that they left us in 2016, and the World Bank report is there for everybody to see. It was my hope that when he gave us this assurance, we're not going to experience what we're experiencing now. And I'm saying that the Ghanaian people, that is our state of the nation. That's how we are feeling. I don't think I'm out of place. But I'm not saying that His Excellency is a magician. What Kwesi says that the reality of Ghana has not changed. It has. A lot has happened. Have you seen the Nolly prosecution that is going on? Have you seen it? Have you seen the number of government officials who are in courts going through a certain process, who have had this process truncated within the last 2 months? The reality has changed. These were people in court. Today they are free. The reality has changed. Something has happened within these 2 months. Although Mr. Mahama is not a magician, he has been able, through his Attorney General, to free some people. That is the reality. That is the reality on the ground. So I am saying that yes, His Excellency has every right, and tomorrow is an opportunity for him. Already, he is clear in his mind that his Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his appointees criminally govern this country. He has made it clear.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.